Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. So today we get to take a look at the brand new 2023 BMW M2. Huge shout out to Hendrick BMW Northlake for providing this vehicle for me today. Check out their website, that link is down in the description. So the M2 behind me is finished off in a very beautiful Zandvoort blue, and we'll go over the MSRP once we go over all the specs and features for this highly performance-oriented sports car. So let's start underneath the hood, where this has the 3-liter inline 6-cylinder twin-turbo powered engine that is paired to the 6-speed manual transmission, pumping out 453 horsepower, 406 pound-feet of torque. That power is sent to the rear wheels. This weighs in right around 3,700 pounds. It'll do 0 to 60 in as quick as 3.6 seconds with a top speed of 177 miles an hour. It also has a fuel capacity of 13.7 gallons. You'll expect to see around 16 miles per gallon in the city, 24 out on the highway. This also has a wheelbase of 108.1 inches. Its overall length is 180.3. It has a width of 81.4 and a height of 55.2 inches. As we move on to the exterior styling now for the all-new M2, this has a bit of a controversial design to it, but personally I think they did a fantastic job making it much different than previous generations. So for the kidney grille, it's not quite as large, and there's no longer a surround for it. It's sunken in with the bodywork surrounding it, which I think is a great touch. Plenty of cutouts to provide a lot of cooling to that engine. You will notice the BMW 50 years badge is located throughout this entire vehicle as well. And then for the lower section, it's completely finished off in gloss black for all of the cutouts, and you can see straight airflow is provided to that engine and all of those components. So it's very functional for the front end design. There's also parking sensors located throughout. And then this has the LED headlights, DRLs, and turn signals, and some nice lines that run down the hood. I think everything ties in together very nicely for this new design. Now for the side, this has a staggered setup for the wheels. They're 19 inches up front, 20 inches in the rear. With that multi-spoke design to them, you can see the blue brake calipers. This has 6 pistons up front, and I like the lower side skirt as well as the fender arches. Like I mentioned from the front, it looks like it has a mini wide body kit on it, which I think looks fantastic. Now we have the two-tone design for these power folding side mirrors with the integrated turn signal, and this M2 has the optional carbon fiber roof. It's about an $1,100 option to go with that, and that is a very nice touch, of course, to see. Now from the side, we have more of that boxy look, but all the proportions look very nice. All of the crisp indentions that you see in that lower side skirt, and then the roof line too, comes together very nicely. You can see right about here, the rear fender arch starts to make its way around that back tire, leading all the way to the rear, where this does have a body colored trunk mounted spoiler, very small, but it gives it some added definition. There's that 50 years badge. This has a backup camera with all of the parking sensors, more gloss black in that diffuser as you saw up front, and then the quad tip active dual exhaust. So with the exterior wrapped up, let's work our way to the cargo space. You can use the button on the key fob or the one to the left of the backup camera. We do not have a power operated trunk, but it's very lightweight and easy to open. Now as we work our way to the back, not only is this a performance oriented vehicle, but it's also very practical at the same time. You can fit a lot of items in here, and you can even fold down the back seats. So just by pulling on these tabs on both sides, when you fold those down, obviously you have a lot more interior storage, making this a very practical daily driving vehicle. Now up top, we do have a grab handle on both sides, so it is very easy to close that trunk. And then as we work our way to the interior, you can lock and unlock this using the door handle, which have that new flush design that BMW has incorporated into a lot of their newer models. And when we open up this door panel, you can see we have the colors just underneath the memory seating adjustments, lock and unlock, as well as that release handle. We have the window adjustments along with the side mirror controls. This also has the Harman Kardon sound system too. There's the trunk release, and then a little bit of storage in the lower section of that door, as well as some indentations on the back section. So it is a nice design to see. M2 is also down on the door sill. And then for this particular model, we do have the upgraded seats. It's a no-cost option to go with these. So you can see the colors on both sides, making it a unique design. And then these are automatic seats, so all those adjustments are down on the side with the manual adjustment for that leg support. They are definitely very comfortable seats. Now let's work our way to the back seats. All I need to do is pull on that tab, and both the driver and passenger seats will automatically slide forwards, which is a nice touch. And at 5'10", I can work my way into these back seats, where honestly I have a decent amount of space. There's also climates, you have the temperature adjustments where you'd like the air to go, and plenty of space for your feet and your legs. Now again, at 5'10", I'm just touching the headliner here, but honestly I could ride around town, maybe not long road trips, but I could ride around town, maybe go to a car show, something like that, around the city. So if you do need this added space for people, a grown adult can fit in the back, or you can use this for added interior storage, which I love to see for a performance-oriented vehicle like this. Now there's a little bit of storage right in the middle, and you can also fold down this middle section. So if you'd like an armrest, or you have some longer items that you need to place through, you have added practicality in being able to do that. And then plenty of visibility. These windows are very large, so it's very open feeling. You definitely don't feel claustrophobic when you are in the back seats. The seatbelts also have the BMW colors stitched on them, which is of course a nice touch to see. And then it's just as easy to exit, and then that seat will go back into the position that it was in. Now as we work our way to these front seats, we have the leather wrapped steering wheel with more of those colors. The M badge is down below. On this left side, you will see all the cruise control settings. Right side, there is volume and tuning. We also have Bluetooth and voice commands. And then this button here is for the gauge cluster setup. So in order to further go through that information, let's fire this up with my foot on the brake and the clutch. We have that button down below. Let's bring this to life. And looking at this gauge cluster, you will see on the left side is miles per hour as well as the fuel level. On the right side is the tach and the engine temperature. And then to further go through more of that info, I can use this middle button, where if I push on that once, you will see content as well as head-up display. And if I scroll up and down, now we can go into some various information like trip information. You can also pull up the navigation or the compass when you have that on and running, as well as the map for the actual navigation system. Now you can also look at the different driving settings that the vehicle is currently in. So this is how it's set up at the moment. You can pull up some content here so you can look at some other vitals. And then you also have the TPMS as well as the temperature for your tires. You can look at live readouts for the horsepower and the torque. And then you also have another page here where you can pull up your music. And then that is it for that setting. Now if I scroll over to the head-up display, it might be a little bit tricky to see at the moment, but currently it is showing miles per hour and the speed limit sign. I can also pull up the directional view, so that will show the compass. Reduced view makes all of that go away. And then there's also the standard view. Standard and reduced are very, very similar, but it is nice that you will see that adjust on the head-up display. Now there's also one more setting for the gauge cluster. By coming down and pushing on M mode, you can go into the infotainment system and go to sport, where you will see the entire gauge cluster change. So now we have what gear you're in, as well as miles per hour and the tach. So basically the vital information. If you're doing some spirited driving, you can monitor all of that. And then over on the left side, all of the info that I just went over gets minimized and placed to the side. So it's very cool. Depending on how you want to drive this, you can set it up the way that you would need to. And then you also have a track setting. If I activate track, you will see this change one more time, where we only have fixed info on that left side. So your temperature and your TPMS, and then the center screen actually shuts off. So it is just you, 3 pedals, the shifter, and of course, your speed and the gear that you were in. And then the head-up display will also change to show you your RPM and your miles per hour. So it's pretty cool. Not a whole lot of configurability, but it has the performance configurability that you are looking for. Now for the rest of the steering wheel, we also have M1 and M2. These will change the driving modes, which I will show later once we go back into the infotainment system in order to set these up. So you can have them set up however you would like this vehicle to drive. So they are shortcuts to get into that info. Now over on this left side, you will see all the headlight adjustments. There's one air vent. And then as we work our way to the middle screen, so the infotainment system, it's actually connected to the gauge cluster. So it's one continuous screen, which I think looks very nice, especially in this vehicle. Now, right now you can see all the climate adjustments. So to be able to get to those, you can see climate menu and then temperature on both sides. That is all fixed information, so it doesn't matter what you are on the upper screen, you can easily get into this, so you can adjust your heated seats, your fan speed, and where you would like the air to go. Now, if we go to the home icon, like I just said, you will see that's fixed in the lower section. Where we can pull up navigation, you can see the different driving modes that the vehicle is currently in. Go into your music as well as your phone. You have a personal assistant. You can monitor your tires as well as some engine information. And then we have My BMW, your route, and you can even add some more icons depending on what you would like to use. So it's very nice to have all of this right at your fingertips to quickly get into. And if I just click on setup, now this is how you can see M1 and M2. So currently this is how it is set up. And if I click on M1, this is how you can further go into these and really get these dialed in. I will have all of this set up for the test drive portion of today's video, but you can already see M2 is already in the Sport Plus setting. Now, if I go back to this left side, we do have shortcuts to navigation. There's also your phone. You can get into your music as well. You can see just how quickly this system reacts. And then pushing on those 4 squares gets you into all of these icons. So we have the Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. You have various settings to go into, even the interior lighting, which you might be able to see. It's this strip just above this sheet of paper. So hopefully you can see that dark red. And then it's also located on the left side here, just underneath this piece. So those are the only strips that you get with that interior kit, but you can change that color as needed. You can get into your climates, even your driving settings, where you can go into setup, and we are back to what I just showed. So it is a very easy system to use, and it gives you a large screen to go through all of that info. Now underneath that, you will see all of the gloss black and brushed aluminum. 2 air vents are right in the middle. And then we do have a physical button for power and volume as well as tuning. There's also defrosters. And then in the lower section, you do have this small cubby. You can opt for wireless charging. I believe it would be placed in that cubby as well. There's 2 cup holders and some auxiliaries. And then you can close that as needed, where this model has all of the gloss black accents. Now for the 6-speed manual transmission, you will see the shift boot finished off in leather. For reverse, we'll just simply pull it to the left and go up, where you'll see that backup camera appear along with the guidelines. And then we have the rest of the 6 gears, of course. On the left side, we have the parking sensors as well as the engine start stop feature, which is convenient to have. There's setup, the M mode, like I mentioned earlier, as well as the exhaust note, which you already heard. So it's nice that you can change that. We have the e-brake as well as traction control. And then you can also use all of these for this infotainment system. So while it is a touchscreen system, you do have shortcuts to be able to quickly get into any of the info that you need to go through. Not new from BMW. It's very easy though, with the minimal amount of buttons. Now for the center, we have the armrest, as well as a good bit of storage where you can place any items. You can even charge more electronics if you need to. And then with the glove box, you have a decent amount of space for all of those additional items. Now we'll take one look at visibility from the driver's seat. You can see just how open it is. So you pretty much have no blind spots. It's a small car, but it's nice that it's very open feeling for the smaller size that it is. And then up top, you will see a call button on the back side, and then the dome lights are on each side. As we set off now behind the wheel for this 2023 M2, this is not the first M2 that I've been able to drive. If you follow along with our channel, we had an M2 for 1 week. We did a lot of driving with it, a lot of comparing it with my brother's manual Supra. So if you want to see even more M2 content than today, definitely subscribe and check out the rest of that content. The mountain drive in this car was phenomenal, so check out that video to see our thoughts. I won't be doing any performance driving today, so if you'd like to see it, we have a video for that. The M2 that we are in today has an MSRP of $67,000. Now it can be a little bit lower. We have a few options on this, like the carbon fiber roof, and then a few other goodies. So let's say mid $60,000 range for the new M2. you really can't compete with this car for the price as far as practicality and performance goes. And we're basically in the entry-level M car for BMW. This is kind of the baby version, but it doesn't have baby horsepower. 453, 406, probably a little bit more, because even when the new Supra came out, Toyota's numbers were a little bit lower than what they were actually producing. So this could be the same way, but you have such a fun car. My brother and I both would buy this based on our 1 week of driving and my 1,000 miles behind the wheel of the M2. I absolutely love this car. It is so comfortable and practical, and not only would it make for a amazing daily driver, but just the performance and the fact that BMW gives you the 6-speed manual. So this is standard. If you want the DCT, it'll probably cost you around $2,800. It's an expensive option to go with that versus the 3 pedals, but just depending on what you would like, you have a few different options. So I love that BMW is keeping the manual transmission alive. And it's a nice manual to drive too. So let's put it into M2 now and give it some gas. Nothing too crazy for today. Again, check out the mountain road trip where we really rip on it. But I like the shifter. I like the clutch pedal. I like how soft it is in a feeling. It's not very stiff, so it's easy to use. The shifter is a little bit more notchy feeling. When you drive it back to back with the manual Supra, you can definitely feel a difference in that. I don't want to compare this too much to the Supra, but it's kind of basically the same in a sense. It's a nice shifter though, don't get me wrong. And it handles so well. But I do like the feedback in the shifter. It's a little bit notchy, but in a good way. And with an acceleration from second gear, here we go. Even on the gas around that turn, very mild for today. But from experience, taking this on more twisty roads and really opening it up, it's a phenomenal car for under $70,000. You can break 70 if you go with the carbon bucket seats and a few other options, but realistically, under $70,000. Comment down below on a car that can compete with everything the M2 has. You really can't. It's such a unique car in a unique part of the car market that it's just, I mean, if you have to drive one, you'll get over the looks of it, I think, because to me, it looks very nice. But once you get behind the driver's seat and really experience this car, BMW really knows how to make performance out of their M cars as far as the handling characteristics go, the power that you can get, giving you 3 pedals, which every car enthusiast wants. They really know how to make a car, but then they also know how to make a refined car. When you compare this to the Toyota Supra, which my brother owns and we did a comparison video on, so check that out if you want to see the similarities and differences between those BMWs. But the refinements in this M2, this is more, when you compare it to the Supra is more of a go-kart feeling car, much tighter, hunkered down, you know, a little bit more nimble in a sense. When you get behind the M2, you can really see the refinements in this car. Not to downplay the Supra by any means, but when you see like how quiet it is, how comfortable it is to drive, the refinements of it, you know, the clutch pedal, the shifter, it's a little bit more laid back, but it still gives you that M performance being an M car. So I like the whole package of this car. It's not too expensive, relatively speaking, with the performance that you get. And it's just a blast to drive. I could definitely see myself buying an M2. I know my brother can. He might trade in the Supra for an M2 someday because of the practicality. The Supra only has 2 seats. If you have kids, you know, and you need that extra seating, you could fit your kids in the back seat and still have the performance that you want from this car. It's incredible. And I know I'm saying that just driving in a straight line, but check out the other videos that we made on 2 M2s now, because we had one in that red color, reddish orange, And now we are behind the wheel of this blue. This does have active rev matching. I haven't been able to see if you can actually turn that off or not, but it is helpful to have. I do prefer to do it myself, but it's nice that you do have it. I think it's only in the Sport Plus setting. And with one last acceleration for today, that is it for the 2023 BMW M2. Once again, huge shout out to Hendrick BMW Northlake for providing this M car for me today. Check out their website. That link is down in the description. And if you enjoyed today's video, make sure you give it a huge thumbs up and consider smashing that subscribe button so you can stay tuned or check out our other M2 content and stay tuned for our daily uploads. We can hear that exhaust, sounds so good. I will see you all in the next video.